You pass them every day. Traffic signs. And yet, have you ever wondered what car is pictured on these signs? Well, you do now. Generally, all over the world, the same set of traffic signs are used to convey the same message as agreed by the Vienna Convention. Except if you live in the United States, of course, where people tend to read instead of look. Anywho, much of the design of the traffic signs are all the same in most countries, and yet there are some subtle differences. Every country has a slight variation on the common theme, and so we're going to try and figure out as best as we can to see if we can find a make and model based on these pictograms. I'm going to use 3 signs as an example. The no motor vehicle sign to get an idea about the front end styling of the car, the unprotected body of water sign to get an idea about the side profile of the car, and the slippery surface sign to get an idea about the rear end styling of the car. I used the overview on Wikipedia, which is about European traffic signs, so my apologies if the signs used in the video actually turn out to be outdated or are no longer used in your particular country. Before we continue, it's an interesting detail to mention that the pictograms tend to somewhat keep up with time when it comes to their design. No one uses this pictogram anymore to represent a car, unless you live in Austria. This is an obvious 1930s car, and cars don't look like this for quite some time now. You might even raise the question whether kids born today recognize and identify this picture as a car. But it's interesting that most cars and traffic signs look like this. Most designs were updated in the 1960s, so naturally the cars feature round headlights. And yet most cars these days don't have round headlights anymore, so you can argue if this is outdated. Should we update the design so that it looks more like this? That it's more in tune with modern day cars? And besides traffic signs, you also see things like... wait, what is that thing there in the distance? Oh look, it's a billboard. Oh look, it's a commercial. edsautoreviews proudly presents Automotive Art Emporium, the official merch store. That's right, over at Eds Emporium, you can find the finest in automotive art made by yours truly. Whether it's a plate you want to hang on your wall in your home or garage, or magnets and stickers that you want to stick on the rear bumper of your classic ride, or expand your wardrobe with some car-themed apparel, I'm sure you're gonna love these designs. All designs are made by me and my own ideas, no AI trickery involved, for classic car owners that can handle a joke, and more designs get added along the way. By buying an artwork, you get to hang something nice on your wall, and I get to work on my retirement plans. So visit your local Eds Automotive Art Emporium by searching for edsautoreviews.dashery.com or click the link in the description and get your awesome automotive art today. Anyway, when it comes to the no motor vehicle sign, there are countries that like to keep it simple. Russia, Lithuania, and Spain, as well as others, show their cars as a basic box with 2 round headlights. Italy and Moldova show a slight variation, stressing that cars do come in fact with bumpers. So, what to make of this? Is this supposed to be a grill-less car? In that case, I can only think of 2 cars that somewhat come close to this, but please do let me know in the comments if there are more cars out there. The first one would be the French Simca 1000, a boxy car that was sold throughout the 60s and the 70s. Although the car is rear-engined, it still features some bright work or grille-like ornament on the front, technically making it not grillless. If you want a grillless example that is equally boxy and very much generic, I was thinking of the French Renault 8. It has 2 round headlights, no grille, and the body panels are as flat as a pancake. I think this car will be my final answer. A second choice would be the Volkswagen Type 3, although that car is a bit more rounded. But wait, some of the traffic signs come with cars that feature an actual grille. Belgium, the Czech Republic, and Hungary keep it simple with horizontal lines or bars, so there is not much to work with their design. Luxembourg, on the other end, seems to feature a overly joyful automobile. I mean, look at it. It's like the car is almost happy it isn't allowed to enter the street. But besides that, the shape of the grille is distinctive, and the closest thing I could find is the British BMC AD016 cars, sold under many different names including the Morris 1100 and the Austin 1100. Then there are some countries that have flipped the grille. It's trapezoid shaped like you would find on the signs in Serbia and Slovenia. And there are loads of cars that have styling like that, and the first one that comes to mind is the Ford Cortina of the early 1960s. But then you have Switzerland and Greece that said, well, we're going to divide this grille up into 3 parts. Now, that's distinctive. But honestly, I am a bit lost on finding a car that has 3-piece trapezoid grille. Once again, let me know in the comments if you can think of one. And last but not least, my home country, the Netherlands. See, the Low Countries had updated their traffic sign design in the 1990s, and it's the only one on the list to drop the round headlights in favor of more modern headlights. It doesn't feature a grille, but the shape of the headlights is distinctive. I mean, they could have chosen to just show 2 squares, but nope. And this makes it easy. There are quite a few cars out there with similar shaped headlights, but I like to put my money on the Opels from the late 70s and the 80s, like the Commodore and the Senator. Okay, so we have already established that the cars on the traffic signs are not one single car. But what about the side profile? In this case, the unprotected body of water warning sign. Well, let's just say that subtle varieties are endless, but the cars can be divided in 2 groups. Some countries model it after a sedan with a pronounced trunk, like Belgium, Czech Republic, Hungary, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, Turkey, and the UK. To try and figure out each and every example would be exhaustive, but I can't help but notice that especially Italy is very distinctive. It features a pointy front and rear end, and above all, a body line. There is only one car that instantly came up in my mind, the Lancia Gemma from the 1980s. Good job, Italy. It's tempting to just dump your Gamma into the water after another engine overheating problem, but the Italian government encourages you not to do that through proper signage. Some other countries embrace a more European body style, the hatchback. Countries including Belarus, Bulgaria, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Romania, and Russia, among others, the styling of these range from typical 1980s boxy hatchbacks to more soft and rounded styling. The boxy hatchback can be anything from a Volkswagen Golf to a Lancia Delta for all I care. I'm somewhat intrigued by the Belarusian styling. The soft curves of the C-pillar are distinctive, and the first car that comes to my mind is the French Peugeot 205. But you guessed it by now, hatchbacks from the 80s are not my strong suit, so please enlighten me in the comments. And while you're at it, here is a bonus sign. It warns you of speed bumps, and the car is very distinctively designed. Can you guess what it is? You have a lot to work with, as you can see the car from the front and side, and it's not just presented as a featureless black box. And that brings us to the rear of the car. As mentioned, I'm gonna take a look at the slippery surface sign. Interesting little side detail is that everyone has a unique take on the skid marks. In Germany, cars tend to have a third middle wheel. In Austria, the car's axles magically switch sides, and in Serbia, tires are charged with electricity. But let's get back on track. There are quite a few countries out there that present the car as a featureless black box, like Austria, Belgium, and Denmark, so there is nothing to gain from there. Norway carefully introduces small, ovalish taillights on the rear of the car. This is enough for me to say that it looks like an early 50s Packard, but I very much doubt whether that car was of any influence when they designed the sign. Turkey takes it one step further. They added a license plate and a hint of horizontal taillights. At least I suspect that these are taillights, otherwise this would be a car with very disturbing body moldings. I mean, can you imagine? Now, there are numerous cars with horizontal taillights out there, but somehow I am drawn to the Mercedes models of the mid-60s, although their taillights aren't quite up as the same height as on the sign. Another contender would be the Opel Rekord from the mid-60s, but the styling is very similar to Mercedes. Italy, however, sends an artist to work instead of a traffic engineer. The rear end is very detailed and comes with a set of 2 horizontal taillights per side. Pretty distinctive, and that should narrow it down. My first guess would be a mid-80s BMW 5 Series, but I'm sure there are more out there. Finally, we get back to my favorite country, the Netherlands. See, it's the only one with a unique approach. Instead of the horizontal taillights, the Dutch specifically chose to go for vertical taillights. The Dutch can be crazy, but not crazy enough to stick 2 license plates vertically on both sides of the car, so it is safe to assume that these are the taillights. Honestly, this only reminds me of one car, the mid-1980s Cadillacs. When you think of it, there are not many cars with vertical taillights in such a way, and Cadillac had pretty much a monopoly on these lights from the 1960s until the 1990s. But Caddy? That's an odd choice, considering so few were sold in the Netherlands. This would be a more fitting icon for road signs in the USA if they would stop using text and acknowledge that there are more than one language in the world. So, to wrap it up, there is no single car that can be named as the car that is featured on all the road signs all over the world. It's a mixed bag and one that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't all countries just use one and the same pictogram? Why are there slight variations? And why is there no consistency in the design of the front, rear and side view of these cars? In case of the Netherlands, we have a car that's an Opel Senator in the front, a generic 1980s car from the side and a Cadillac from the rear. So, tell me, what would be your answer? What is the car on traffic signs?